Hi, everyone. Jessica Martin here with Martin Management. I am super excited to have with me today Dr. Laura Brunner. She, after dreaming of being a dentist her whole life, learned that dentistry wasn't a match for her. She practiced for 10 years before leaving clinical dentistry to become a blogger, a speaker, and a certified professional coach. After her blog post, 10 Reasons Your Dentist Probably Hates You Too, went viral, she began connecting with dental professionals around the world who wanted more from their careers. This inspired her to create Lolabees Career Coaching to guide dental professionals in designing their careers on their terms so they can create joyful, balanced lives. Laura, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica.
Yeah, so I love your title, The 10 Reasons Your Dentist Probably Hates You Too. It's so funny. Who came up with that? Like, how did you come up with it? That's so funny.
I wish I could say that I'm so hilarious, but it was actually an accident. I saw this blog post that was titled 10 Reasons I Hate the Dentist. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like a 5-year-old being like, well, here's why your dentist probably hates you too. And that's how it came about. But it turned out to be something that really struck a chord. So I guess I wish I could say that I'm like super creative but it was really like a gut reaction of almost maybe even from a little bit of anger, because as dentists, like, we get so much of that from patients, and we're people too, right?
Yes, that's true. It is a tough profession because a lot of people will sit down and be like, I hate being here. Like that's just like the first thing they'll say. And you're like, okay, welcome. Like, thank you for coming. Like it's just it is a weird thing. So I love that that was your title of your blog post. So I guess tell us, what was your burnout moment? Like how did you know like this isn't the thing for me? I just am not loving dentistry and then be brave enough to push it aside and do what you really enjoy.
Yeah, so I think what's very interesting about it is throughout my career, I practiced for 10 years. I don't think I knew that I was burnt out because, well, this was in 2000. So I graduated in '01, and it was 3 years in. So 2004, I realized that I hated my work. I was just unhappy every day. I had a lot of anxiety. I am a pretty upbeat person, so although I didn't notice it, there was this kind of low grade chronic depression that was settling in. And I just thought I didn't like this work. And there was nothing about it. And I would dread going, and I didn't like being there. And it wasn't really until 2019 when I started researching burnout for a talk I was doing that I could see that I was burnt out in that third year of practice. Because in 2004, no one was talking about burnout, not really in any field. And I just thought, I'm 3 years in. There's no way I could be burnt out. Like burnout is for people who've been doing it forever, right? And so, it was looking back, which is always a funny thing to think about because you know, present me looks at past me and thinks, oh, if I had known that I was burnt out, could I have fixed that instead of thinking that I needed to just leave this career? Um, and I think it's important for people to really recognize what is going on. Because there's so many solutions in dentistry to our problems, and so many of them are fixing where you are in your office or the daily work you're doing. Very few people consider switching and leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just another option. But yeah, that burnout was in year 3. When I first started, I was like, I know this is going to be hard. Dentistry's hard. And as long as I just, go full steam ahead, my first couple of years, by the time I'm a few years in, it'll be easier. Well, in year 3, it wasn't getting easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I lost hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the burnout moment really started to happen.
Well, you think about, I mean, year three, yeah, like you said, you feel like you're so early. Like, how could you be tired by that point? But if you think about all of the energy and the drive that you needed to even get through dental school, to even get into dental school, to get through dental school, to get that first job, to start practicing, it's a lot. And I have obviously haven't done it myself, but my husband and I met when he was in dental school, and so I've watched, over the past 20 so years of, things that he's kind of gone through and whatnot. And it is just, even those early phases, there's just a lot of pressure that I think dentists put on themselves. And I'm sure there's a lot of people resonating with what you're saying right now. Um, how did you find that you overcame burnout?
For me, I had to leave dentistry. So I had to, and it took me a while. It took me 7 years after that. So it was at 10 years in practice that I was able to find a way to actually leave. Um, and I think when we go back to this idea of, I was burnt out, but didn't really know that it was burnout. I just thought I hated my career. One of the concepts I've realized from burning myself out now, I don't know about you, Jessica, but I burn myself out now all the time. And the burnout that I feel when in the work that I love feels very different from the burnout that I felt then. And let me rephrase that. It doesn't feel different. It's the solutions are different. So I talk about how if you're feeling burnt out, it's really important to diagnose what kind of burnout you're experiencing. Is it burnout because you love what you do and you're just doing way too much and overextending yourself? Or is it burnout because you're doing work that you really don't like to do?
Mhm,
And so for me, that was me in dentistry, and the only solution for me in that case was to leave.
mhm.
But if you love what you do, it does help to take breaks and go on vacations and get support for the things that are bogging you down. And even when you go on vacations, when you love what you do, you come back feeling refreshed. When you go on vacation and you don't love what you do, you dread coming back. You don't feel refreshed. You actually feel more sad because you're like, I have to go back to my life. So it's really paying attention to those little details so that you can understand, what do I need to free myself up?
Yeah. Wow. So when you're doing coaching with your clients, do you find that I'm assuming you're attracting a lot of people in the dental field because that's your niche, but are you finding a lot of dentists in particular are also choosing to leave, or are you able to find strategies for them to stay in the field of dentistry but find their joy again?
I think well, so I'm a bit biased because I do attract the people who are unhappy in dentistry and do want to leave. And so I would say still the majority of people decide to stay because they've invested so much in this. But there is a community of dentists who are saying, I can do something else. And maybe it's I practice dentistry 2 days a week and do something else on the side, or maybe I leave completely, or maybe I go non-clinical. So my world, my everyday people that I interact with are very much people who are really wanting to leave, but there are so many who are struggling and don't want to leave. And what I think is most important, at least in who I work with, is just being real with yourself. Because if you if we go back to that diagnosis, is like, do I actually love, or even like, you don't have to love it, do I actually like my work, or do I actually hate my work? If someone's honest with themselves and then allows them, they'll allow themselves to find the right solution. But if I am working with somebody who no they I mean they say things like this to me, and these are things I said: this is soul crushing, I feel like I'm dying inside. I don't feel like myself anymore, I'm depressed.
Mm,
um you know I'm a big believer in trying everything you can, because that's what I did. I went to Panky 5 times, like 4 times actually. Um, you know, try everything you can to fix it. But if you're still feeling like your soul is crushing and you're dying inside, those solutions aren't working. So for me, it's really important to be real with yourself and understand that maybe the best solution is to change. It's not for everyone. I'm not here to try to get everybody to quit dentistry. That'd be kind of funny if I were, but that's not what I do. Um, but I just want people to do what they want. And so whether it's if I'm working with someone who wants to make dentistry better or someone who wants to leave dentistry, it's what's most important is that they're real with themselves
Mhm.
about like what's about what they really want. Because people who really are dying inside, but they're like, I'm gonna still make it work. They don't show up. They're uncoachable. And
Yeah.
it's not their fault that they're uncoachable. It's just that they're not motivated because it's not, addressing the real problem.
The timing of this conversation is super interesting because I just had a conversation last week with Dr. Julie Kellogg, who we both know. Her
Yes.
and I have we have a spousal course, a workshop where we, teach dentists and their spouses how to communicate and how to, support each other better in this, married to dentistry sort of fun atmosphere that we create with this workshop. And we were just talking about how we were talking about retirement and how a lot of dentists are afraid to talk with their spouse about retirement because maybe the lifestyle that they have afforded their family will no longer be, attainable, or, they're in this case like they're burnt out, but they don't feel like they have other ways to earn an income based on the skills they have as a dentist, and so they don't see, another outlet to be able to do something different. And so having the lack of support as a spouse to not even be able to have these conversations to be true, as a couple to yourselves as what you want to build your life to be, but also like you said, to be true to yourself. I think that like, there's so much wrapped into this that I think is really interesting and can be really a huge barrier to really finding out like what is possible, what is going to change my feelings about my life. Ugh, so much.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're doing it on your own and you can't tell your spouse, you're just carrying the burden, which is going to burn you out even more. And uh, it's funny that you bring that up because that was a huge part of my experience was I didn't realize how the amount of pain that I was in was creating a lot of pain for my husband.
Mm.
And he one day was like, you've got to fix this. He's like, I don't care what we do. We'll figure it out in our lives, but solve it because if you keep doing this, our marriage is not going to last. Now I joke, it was like the ultimatum. There was actually permission.
Yeah.
But so that's so great. I love that you guys are doing this course.
Yeah. Well, and we've done the course, so we hadn't really factored in like the concern of on the dentist part that they couldn't have this kind of open communication with their spouse about a transition away from dentistry. So this is something we're just starting to wrap our heads around and trying to build in because it is a huge thing that we hadn't addressed before. So I just love how all these conversations, come at the right time. So really cool. And you just had it's like a safari getaway that you took doctors on in Africa. Will you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm assuming that's maybe one of those strategies to help with burnout.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we went to Kenya. My friend Morris Mugo is a dental hygienist, and his side gig is doing these mission trips in Africa. And so he takes dental professionals and other health professionals and takes them out and does safaris with them where they plan this whole travel itinerary and they're doing some mission dentistry. And so we did that. We did not do the mission dentistry piece of it because the reality is, and there's no shame in this, but people who are burnt out in dentistry, some of them going away and volunteering to do dentistry can help them. But there's another subset of people who the last thing they want to do when they go on vacation is more dentistry, right? So we set this up as like, this is all about you. So we went safari, we went to the beach, a couple days, and we had a really great community of dentists who it was really, I talk a lot about side gigs because it's a great way of even if you love dentistry, having a side gig can be a great way to make dentistry not your whole world so that the burnout from it doesn't affect you as much. So this was just people who part of it is how can we create side gigs? It was called Safari and Side Gigs. How can we get in that mindset of creating some diversification in our lives and let go a little bit of some of this um, pressure to be this private practice owner who, there's one way that we've been taught for years that there's only one way to be successful in dentistry, right? And it's like, how can we kind of let go of that so we can redefine what does success look like for each one of us, and not just dentistry, but in our lives. So it's very much like a life design program. And I'll tell you what, getting to travel and get out of your comfort zone and be in a completely new place with these, we need more in-person stuff again. It changes everything. It makes, it's time to get back to that, I think.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm sure the people that attended I'm sure it was life-changing and really, really amazing. Are you doing, I think we talked about this on a different call we were both on, but do you have the next thing planned? Or are you like, oh, hold on, no, we'll figure that out?
I I'm like, hold on. Every time I do an event, I learn. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And what's
Yeah,
cool about this is, I've done summits. I've done side gig summits where we do a day. But I believe that the work to do the work of really changing some big aspect of your career cannot be done in a day.
yeah,
And so I didn't really feel like my summits they were fun and they were inspiring, but I didn't feel like they were helping people really get to the heart of the matter of what they needed. So the good news is this, I call it immersive workshop style of event is the way to go. So I will be doing more. It's just, well, you know how it is to promote an event. It just takes a lot of energy. So just allowing myself a little rest so I don't burn myself out as well. But there's something coming. I know it.
yeah. Okay, good. We have to just follow Laura
Yes.
and, figure out when it is, and then I'll get signed up. Hope it's somewhere amazing as well. That's so fun. Let's see. Are there other things we didn't cover that you would like listeners to know about, the burnout or the coaching that you do? Anything that you think we haven't covered that would be helpful?
I mean, really the only thing I would say is kind of what I alluded to earlier is there's so many different problems and so many different solutions in dentistry. And I think the solutions we allow ourselves to look at are ways to um, allow us to invest more in dentistry. And this is kind of historically what we've done in dentistry is it's dentistry is the best, and it is a great career. I Do you know how much I wish I loved it? Like my life would have been so much easier if I loved dentistry. Because I do love dentistry. I just don't like practicing it, right? So we have years of um the messaging in dentistry is all about more, produce more, own more, see more patients, take more CE. And those are all incredible solutions, but sometimes it's okay to consider less, because less can lead to other things. And the key to that, I think, is surrounding yourself with the right community, a community that's going to be open. That if you want to do more, great, but if you don't, that's great too.
Mhm.
So I would say let's add this piece of surround yourself with people who are open-minded, and these communities are there, and just find them, because that will give you the belief that you can do whatever you want with your life.
No, this is such important work, Laura. I'm so glad that you're called to do this and that you're coaching people through this. It's amazing. If anyone wants to learn more or get in touch with you, how would you suggest they do that?
Well, I have a Facebook group. It's called Dentist Side Gigs. I also am on Instagram at Dr. Lolabees. And my website's lolabeescareercoaching.com. But the easy way to find that is to do a Google search for 10 reasons your dentist hates you. You don't even have to get the title right, and my website will come up. And I'm always happy to chat with people, because there are a lot of people sort of closeted who feel this way, and there's always a solution.
Awesome. And definitely read that blog. The blog post is amazing. It's so funny and definitely a good read. So thank you, Dr. Laura, for being with me today and for sharing all the things that you're doing. And we'll see you all next time.